Last time on BoP Kai, Mr. Enter is defeated by Lorenzo. That's about it.
For those of you who were unlucky enough to see my original list, which I made 3 years ago.
Just a quick reminder, this is supposed to be the more tolerable version of this list.
Yippee!
It's supposed to be a test of skill.
Well, unless you count stuff like Frog Fractions or Candy Box, or pretty much any other kind of game in the emergent gameplay genre. You want to tell me that those aren't supposed to be a test of patience of some kind?
I don't hate escort missions.
Okay, here are a couple more reasons to hate escort missions. Dead Island, Never Dead, Siren, Siphon Filter, Dead Rising, Amy, Daikatana, Blast Core. You're seriously going to give a pass to an oft-hated gaming trope just because you haven't experienced the worst examples of it? There's something about a viewpoint like that which just seems off.
Lack of fun? Shut.
Oh, I think you just pissed off a lot of Armored Core fans with that line. Never mind how you could argue that the stiff controls tie in with the idea that you're controlling a bulky machine. You know, a somewhat sizable robot.
Also, what's with the Yoshi's Island example? That's not a robot, that's a pair of stilts. How do you not notice the fundamental difference here?
Honestly, what's on the game developers' minds when they have these? One example isn't Crash Bandicoot's The Wrath of Cortex.
Even if there still is a speed difference, that's a weak example. If anything, the only thing really wrong with the robot from Wrath of Cortex is the awkward aiming.
Stilts from Yoshi's Island DS might not necessarily be robot.
You know, just about the actual robot part of it.
And you know about Sonic Adventure 2?
How so? Sure, Tails has only 4 robot levels as opposed to Eggman having 5, but Eggman's levels never feel as long, with the one exception being Eggman's final stage, Cosmic Wall, which is not only the final stage, making a little more sense, but is ironically what people would consider the best Eggman level for having the best mobility when you're given the ability to move.
The worst example by far is New Super Luigi U.
Yet you're still gonna leave out escort missions entirely just because you haven't played any of the most egregious examples of it? Better get 2 sheets of cloth and 2 wooden poles and give them to the Parade of the Armed Forces because it looks like we have a double standard here.
Why is it that when Super Mario...
Excuse me, what? No. Super Mario Galaxy 2 is generally more well-received than New Super Luigi U. The only people I really see bashing here are people like Josh Gorter or Rabbit Luigi, and maybe other people in the Countdown community. But if Rabbit Luigi's Top 15 Wii Games contest is anything to go by, his fans are not quite the sheep that you're making them out to be.
One instance is in Kingdom Hearts 350.
Disregarding the hints alluding to this fight in Kingdom Hearts 2, what would fighting Xemnas in 358 Days Over 2 accomplish for the story? Nothing. Zilch. Nada. Some other synonym of
0.
Kingdom Hearts Recoded, even though Anti-Sora was responsible for creating all of the bug blocks that infected the other worlds, he's not the
What the game developers did, if anything, was assume that their audience was smart enough to figure out the identity of the hooded figure with the hints given while never outright saying it. If leaving clues is a sign of a stupid audience, then you might have just upset the inner Phoenix Wright fan in me.
With the items, it also is irritating. They pretty much reward you for being in last place.
Dude, people aim for first place in racing games all the fucking time. Rarely do gamers race badly on purpose, and in those cases, they're more than likely not concerned with playing altogether, so items to them don't mean shit. The idea that the best item goes to those in lesser places is not inconvenient to play bad, just to accommodate for a shitty time on the track.
The worst types of rapid input sequences are in the DS games where you have to blow very hard into the mud.
Oh, how dare the game provide some kind of physical near exertion just to add a level of tension to the competitive nature of Mario Party.
Don't you love how video games tease you by making you think you're going to fight someone, but you don't get to any...
sometimes, but I'd argue that the War Go doesn't come as an example of that, seeing as during Riku's story mode, it appeared several times through the City de Coches before becoming the final boss of that world.
Ganondorf is one of the biggest villains in the game, but you never actually get to fight him. Oh, but you can fight his clone. That doesn't...
Oh yay, a different colour palette means that you get a different overall experience when compared to fighting him with the original colour palette. Makes such a fucking difference!
That's not an excuse.
Yes it is. I mean, it's not really an issue until you have to start fighting the Colossi on horseback, which isn't even compulsory until you fight Bazaran, and he's the 9th Colossus.
And in one of the Angry Video Game Nerd's recent reviews, he reviewed some old game called Desert Bus.
I'm not sure why you're even counting this game as an example in the first place. For one, Desert Bus isn't even a standalone game. It was released on a compilation called Penn and Teller's Smoke and Mirrors, something which the nerd did bring up. For two, considering Penn and Teller's stance on the way violence is portrayed in gaming, I'm not sure that game ever had any pretenses of being a serious statement against violence in gaming or the people's complaining about violence in gaming in the first place. Never mind that, for three,
Penn and Teller's Smoke and Mirrors never even made it to stores in the first place.
Because the people there are so stupid.
Using a mute protagonist with no personality outside of occasional visual elements. How is that supposed to work?
As for the stupid AI, anyone play the original Star Fox? Even though your allies should be assisting you, they check it out when the boss appears. Whatever happened to...
Star Fox is an early Super Nintendo rail shooter, meaning that incorporating this kind of thing into a boss battle would be kind of awkward.
You want people to hate dogs?
Okay, to the viewers at home, if you're resorting to straight-up animal abuse because of the video game mechanic, I highly doubt that Smash Bros. Is a problem here. It's you.
I did that.
Happy birthday, Jesus. pieces.